Content you don't like or hateful? What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm saying.
Well, I'm just curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content, and I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examples. Can you name one example?
I honestly don't. Honestly, I don't.
You can't name a single example.
I'll tell you.
Golly, that was Elon Musk talking to a member of the BBC who, they don't have free speech over there. I don't think they fully understand the concept. Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch here with you. That is the whole, one of the big fights that the media has been having, and I am so happy about it. NPR quit Twitter, and the BBC got mad because Twitter, they were labeled state-affiliated media. So the way that it looks was... It's like when they have when they have the Chinese state-run media up there, it'll have like this little gray thing underneath it, and it says state-run or state-affiliated media. And NPR's livid because they were classified as this, and they even put it down under their bio. They put NPR is an independent news organization that is committed to informing the public about the world around us. And it has government-funded media. That's what it says. It has government-funded media under their thing. And when you click on the government-funded media, it tells you that it's because they get government funding. NPR, in part, gets government funding. They sit here and go on and on about, no, most of our funding comes... I don't give a rat's ass where most of your funding comes from. You steal some of my taxpayer dollars to put on your god-awful content. You are government-run media. If you don't want the label, then don't steal my hard-earned money. You're funded in part by the government. If you don't want the label, don't take our dollars. This is not a transaction that any of us agreed to. If any of these people out there want to support NPR, by heavens, then you can go ahead and you can make that donation yourself. Why is it that all these rich leftists, they sit on their fat asses and they don't do a single thing to save the network they claim to love? In fact, they want to make it to where and mandate it to where everybody else has to pay for it. Pay for what? The entity that literally said of the Hunter Biden laptop story, and I quote, "We don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories. And we don't want to waste listeners' and readers' time on stories that are just pure distractions." End quote. That's a real story. That's a real quote. That's what they said. In fact, they actually had said it and released their statement on Twitter when that happened. And they were absolutely snotty about it. Absolutely snotty about it. They said that it was a story that doesn't matter. In fact, it was a story that mattered supremely, particularly as all of these details have emerged. And by the way, I mean, there's already a federal investigation into Hunter Biden based on what is on this laptop. They're looking at whether or not he was actually reporting all of his income that he was receiving questionably from, it rhymes with Schmeina. So they said that they're going to take their ball and go home. They're not going to use Twitter. Oh, wow. I don't care. Don't use Twitter then. Look how unaffected we all are. Oh, wow. The sun has stopped shining. The world has stopped turning. We're all going to die, and we're going to be plunged into a polar dark abyss because the sun is going to explode in the sky after NPR's announced that, nay, they shall not tweet any longer. I would love... I mean, I guess they think that people are as obsessed with them as they are obsessed with themselves. BBC was mad. Guess what? BBC is government funded. Here's the thought. Then fund it yourselves. And instead of George Soros sitting here raising crime rates with his garbage DAs that he gets elected because he basically buys elections, then Why don't have him put some of his money towards your precious NPR? Then you can listen to your crap public broadcasting. I said it. One of my favorite things ever about talking about government-funded media was when I lived in St. Louis. And before I had my own studio in home, when I lived in St. Louis, I had to go to, guess what? It was the local PBS. And I would sit there on their soundstage and literally in front of everyone. They were always very nice and I got along with them. But no holds bar, I would sit here and say why it needs to be defunded. Not my monkeys, not my circus. So they are state-run media. And they are losing their minds over it. Now, think of all the ways that they have tried to help put the finger on the scales of justice or narratives or however you want to put it. How often they have done that with their coverage. The New York Times, etc. I mean, it's really amazing. And so why is that? And they were taking issue with Elon Musk for that. So I guess, what is it? The BBC, are they tweeting still? I can't remember what they said. NPR said that they're not going to use Twitter until that's removed. Okay. I don't care if you use Twitter unless, I don't care. Just stop taking our money. Why is it such a big deal with them? Because they realize the conflict of interest. How are you going to be a media entity reporting on the government when you get money from the government? And the speculation as to how much NPR gets is actually somewhat wild. So one of their officials was lying previously, and they were saying, "Oh, it's only 1%." That's a lie, because then I've read that it's like 20% elsewhere. They tried to say, "Oh no, we get some grants and we get that." Yeah, government funded grants. Do you think we're stupid? We know all the ways that government likes to, distribute the money that it steals from us in the form of unconstitutional taxes. We know. Yes, I'm salty about it. Why? Because it's April. What's April? National Theft Day happens in April. Yeah, they always say, no, we actually only get 1%. Well, that's not true. They're like, oh, we're publicly funded and you get government money. Just be honest about it. Just be honest about it. And again, if you don't want the affiliation, then don't take any money.